Good evening. I am Asta and I come from Iceland, and I am going to talk with you about the politics of porn. One might ask what and why I'm talking about the politics of porn. I have been thinking and talking and annoying my friends for 6 months now about porn, and they are getting super tired of me because that's the only thing I can talk about. A little bit closer. Oh, sorry. Okay, now everybody can hear me. Excellent. I've been annoying all my friends for 6 months now about, porn and the politics of it. Oh, it works. And it's a good question why I am interested in the politics of porn and what is the politics of porn. For me, how I started it was because Iceland wanted to ban porn, or what? The Icelandic Minister of Interior considered to punish people for porn on the internet. He had this desire of putting centralized filter in order to make sure that the Icelandic population would not access porn on the internet, because porn is really bad, as you all should know. Doesn't he look nice? I was a bit shocked, and I was very furious that he wanted to ban pornography, especially the methods he used, or he was proposing. But however, I hadn't realized that porn had been illegal in Iceland since 1940. I was outraged. I mean, I had been watching, and when I was growing up in the 90s, you could find like blue softcore pornographic magazines in the stores, and they would show porn on the television after hours. So I was like, I was really shocked that I hadn't known about this. Not because I was so much for banning porn, but that they were actually going to use internet filtering in order to censor porn on the internet. There is a quite big misunderstanding about this proposal. They went into the media without having anything on the table except an idea that porn was bad and they must censor it from the internet. No bill in Iceland has been put forward regarding the porn censorship on the internet, but they went to the Daily Mail in the UK to get big headlines about pornography, like Iceland wants to censor porn, without having anything concrete on the table. So I was furious. I'm not very pro-censorship. Censorship, in my opinion, is bad. So I felt like I was in a war. And I got my friends from the Icelandic Pirate Party together, and we worked together, towards understanding and, be a very present power in this anti-censorship debate. But the thing was, the people who were working on this document, or working on trying to censor porn in Iceland, they thought, well, this is not censorship. We are just protecting the children from harmful material on the internet. That's not censorship. Why are you calling it censorship? And I looked at this, old lady that used to be the Minister of Education, and I was like, you're destroying human rights on a so much more global scale, because Iceland, which has used to be considered as a haven for democracy and freedom of speech, you want to censor porn. And what they were proposing, they wanted to censor porn with centralized filters, with blockings or upload filters. They had, not really any idea how they were going to do it. We had, quite some questions. I mean, we had really interactive debate with the people who were proposing this. And besides, that this is not censorship, we also discussed, how are you going to define porn? Is this porn?
No, this is art.
This is art, exactly. I mean, this is art. This is something, yeah, this is perfect. In Icelandic law, even though porn has officially been banned since 1940, pornography is never, it's never clarified what porn is. And they were they were quite confusing, like, oh, we're going to ban porn. And they were like, but that's censorship. I was like, oh, no, we're just going to ban violent porn and child pornography. And I was like, okay, so we have porn, we have child pornography, we have violent porn. I had never heard of violent porn before. And then we have erotica. So what is the difference between those? And I actually went and did my own research. And it appears so that a law from 2006 in Britain actually has defined the difference between violent porn, which is porn which pictures clearly violent acts which are not performed with explicit consent. It's basically pictures of abuse. And I don't think that that should be called pornography. I think when we're talking about censoring something, we have to use very concrete terms and very clear distinctions on what we're talking about. And violent pornography, I think it's a misname to call it porn. And the same with child pornography, or as I think is better to call it, child abuse material, which is any material which pictures children in a sexually explicit way. And pornography. So, pornography is defined in the same British law, and it's actually quite hard to come by with a good explanation of what pornography is. Pornography is there, defined as any sexually explicit material which is made with the objective of being sexually stimulating. So if you take a picture of a foot and it is meant to be, just an advertisement for shoes, it's not porn. If you take a picture of a foot and it's made for people with porn fetish or foot fetish, then it's porn. There's a distinction there between. And erotic material is pictures in sexual situations or naked bodies without it being for the purpose of sexual stimulation. However, it took me some time to understand that, the people who are advocating for, banning pornography, they did not make this distinction between all of this. They thought, and they really felt, that porn is inherently evil and it must be kept away from people at all cost. And that, violent porn, pornography, some even argues that pornography is violence and can never ever be a positive thing. So I did not really understand. So I was like, why is porn all of a sudden so evil? Well, they were arguing it encourages rape, it potentially harms children, and gives distorted views on sex, sexuality, and the role of women in sexual acts in the society. So I did some more background research. I have been reading about porn. I have, 200 pages bookmarked about porn in my browser. And my interest in porn is purely academical. That must, be very, we have to keep that in mind. But the first thing was that porn encouraged rape of women. Every single research since 1970s that I have looked through has actually pointed the other thing out. In a comparative research between Japan, the States, Sweden, Germany, even Croatia, there's a very recent research about if porn encouraged rape that was happening, made here in Croatia. Then they figure out the statistics of the rape before and rape after porn was made legal. So in the comparison data, there's either no difference or tiny little difference of the rape statistics in those countries. So there is not very much that points out that porn actually encourages rape. It's more that people who want to rape, they may use pornographic material, but that is maybe because it's a coincidence, not a causation. Fact check 2. To protect our children from pornography. Pornography is evil, and thus we must protect our children, because children are not supposed to see evil things, are they? But there is actually a correlation between people who got information about sex, sexual acts, and so on in late age, that they have more difficulties accepting it and are more likely to have some troubles. And actually, we don't really need to, yes, children are maybe not supposed to be seeing explicit pornography all the time, but I'm not really sure, and there is not very much evidence, that it actually harms children in such a way as they're proposing. But on the other hand, there hasn't been done too much research on it. That's also the problem. The fact text 3, that it gives distorted views on sexuality and the role of women in sexual acts and as in society. I think most people here has at least, watched one porn video in their life, right? At least one. Okay. Women are not necessarily depicted in a very positive way. I mean, I think we must agree on that. They have enhanced bodies, they have, big boobs, much makeup and so on. So yes, I mean, it doesn't give a very positive image of women. But is censorship the right way of changing it? Everything, the problem with those statements is that they lack original research. Or they cite their own researches, the research that they went did 10 years ago. And the problem was also that they were citing the same sources. I've been looking through documents from the EU as well, and they are citing an in-depth interview published in The Guardian from 2011 with Gail Dines as a source for why we need to ban porn. That is an interview, that is not a scientific or academic source. So there is a huge problem with how they come to those conclusions. And there's a huge, and there's a huge problem with that they're not really focusing on new researchers. They're always citing the same people. I thought it was first because there was no such, that it was difficult to find the right sources, but that's actually not the case. You can actually find plenty, people are writing plenty about it, so that's not the problem. Our Minister of Interior invited this lovely lady, Gail Dines, to give a presentation in October 2012. And like you can see, she is not very positive about porn. Pornography is a perfect propaganda piece for patriarchy. In nothing else is their hatred of us as clear. She is very concrete about her basically hatred towards porn. And it's based on her own personal research, which is not proven to be very academical, which our Minister of Interior based his proposal on. Porn can be good and porn can be bad. And it's really bad that we have so much bad porn in this world. I think that many of those problems that we have is not because porn is bad, but more because we have too much bad porn. The solution, which is, it's one of the main reasons why people want to censor the internet nowadays, is that pornography is evil, pornography is bad, thus we must censor the internet. However, if pornography is so bad, why don't we try to find other solutions? And why are we proposing censorship? And what is censorship? I'm happy that you're enjoying the Bradley porn. So what is censorship? Censorship is when you are restricting somebody's ability to express something. And when you're censoring the internet and when you're censoring porn, you're also censoring expression. You're censoring how the people, on the other hand, experience and perceive the world. And that is not necessarily something that we want to accept. However, we have this whole concept about freedom of speech. And we have like how I see it, especially when it comes to porn and just talk in general, is that we have positive censorship and we have negative censorship. Positive censorship is when you do something which is not, or say something which is not according to the law. You will be arrested, you will be fined, but there's a judge in between which will decide whether or not that will happen if you did something criminal. And an example of that is, for example, in Austria, I think, or was it in Germany, where you cannot deny the existence of the Holocaust. That is an example of basically positive censorship. That is where we use a legal system, use a division of power in order to restrict the freedom of speech, but as little as possible with as many safe mechanisms as possible. The negative censorship is when we do not use the court system, when we do not use judges to decide what is right and what is wrong. That is when, like they were proposing in Iceland, to have a centralized filter to make the internet service providers, reliable on if people can access porn or not. Then we are making them the judge. Then they will have the executive power and the judicial power, which is something that we do not want. There's a reason why we have this division of power, and it's one of the safeguards of a democratic society. And that is something that we must not forget about. Bad porn is a real problem. Yeah, this is really bad porn. However, porn exists and porn will continue to exist. Porn is part of our sexuality and how we want to express ourselves in a very perverted way. Because I think the only thing that the Kinsey report has told us is that humans are perverts. What we need is better consumer protection for porn. We need clear labeling. We need to know what we are going to consume before we consume it. It's the same thing as every single bread that you eat from the supermarket. You can see how much sodium it has. So better consumer protection, better labeling, better work protection for pornographic actors. That is extremely important because they are people and they are in this business and they are in this business for money. To be in a business because of money is quite natural, actually. So, Gail Dine says that, the only reason why anyone has been in the porn industry that she has interviewed is because of the money. Duh, everybody's working because they need money. They need better work environment, they need better work security. They need to know that if they refuse to do a job because they're not comfortable with it, that they will not be fired. That is one of the main reasons. And equal pay, that, a clean working environment. This is what they need. That is how we can make sure that there is not as much, abuse in the porn industry. So what am I proposing? 70% of today's porn is basically manufactured or hosted in the USA. Made by quite a few individuals, relatively speaking. So what we get is actually quite limited view about how porn is. We have too little European porn. I think we need a European porn industry where we can enforce better consumer protection, where we can enforce better work protection, and have a porn actors union. And we can even, subsidize it, take some of the tomato money or something and give it to the porn industry. The European Union has plenty of money they're spending on some crap. The politics of porn is not about porn. It's about politics. The politics of porn is about the politics of allocation of power. They are not trying to find solutions for people to consume or produce porn in a healthy way. What they're trying to do is to try to figure out who has the power of censorship, who has the power of restricting information. Is it the internet service provider? Is it the police? Is it the parliament? Or is it no one or just the judge? This is a very important question, especially when we're trying to discuss something like censorship in relation to human rights. So how far into our bedrooms can our governments go? And I don't think that they should go there at all. So that's all for now. Any questions? Thank you. So do you have any questions, any discussions, anything? Or do you just want to go and get some more beer?
Actually, you did a good job. You made everything clear.
Okay, good. And in 20 minutes only, that's a record. But if you have any questions, just please raise your hand. Sorry?
Who did the graphics?
Oh, Google did it. This is my favorite. It was just, of course I had to have ASCII porn. That is just the most epic thing that I've ever found on the internet. And this picture in general. But yeah, so let's go and have fun, right? Thank you.